Hello again, WYN here for video number 5 in our tutorial series on how to make an exploit for Roblox. In today's video, we'll be discussing how to require game module scripts so you can run functions that are already built into the game by calling them directly, or even modifying some of the game code itself to be able to use it to your exploiting advantage. And with that, we'll get started. So the first thing you're going to do is open up DarkDex. Once again, that's in the script hub in Synapse, or you can find the load string if you use a different exploit than Synapse and just run that. Alternatively, you could also use Script Dumper to dump all the local scripts and module scripts and view them within Roblox Studio. But for today, we'll just be using DarkDex. So I've already opened DarkDex, as you can see from here. So first thing I want to do is find a script that we want to require, and specifically a module script. And I want to look for the one that calls this click function itself, because right now, when your mouse button clicks this, as you know, it fires a remote that we've already went over in another video. Before it does that, it calls another function which fires that remote. So I want to see if we can find that function and use it within our script instead of calling the remote directly. So first place I'm going to look is under players, because a lot of times the games will put player scripts under the player scripts folder under your player. So I'm going to my player scripts. I'm going to expand that. And these scripts are all generic, so there's nothing in there. I'm going to expand the area folder. And we'll start in controllers. Now this is very dependent on the game, by the way. You'll see completely different folder structures just dependent on the game. And then just going to kind of scroll through here, look for anything that says click. There we go. So this is a module script. I can tell one by visually looking at this icon is specific to a module script, while a local script icon will look like this. So have like a player character right there in the middle of it. A module script does not have that. Also down here in the class name, it's clearly defined as a module script. The reason why you want to know the difference between a module and a local is the way that you'll interact with it in an exploit is different. So you need to know if you're interacting with a module script or a local script. All right, I'm just going to right click on it and select view so we can view the script. And there's a script. All right, so first off, I see a function right here called click. So v1 is actually a reference to the script itself. Click is the function, and it has one parameter passed to it, p1. Now this parameter on a module script is always the script itself, and when you're calling it, you don't necessarily have to pass it directly in. All right, so it is calling this function, which most likely is the remote. It's probably defined somewhere else in the code. And it's doing a few other things. So we're going to start here. We're going to try to require this script and call this function and see if it works right. So once again, it's called click. Now, the first thing we need is a path to the script. Easiest way to get that is to right click on the script and click copy path. All right, now that we have the path copied to our clipboard, let's open up Visual Studio Code and we're going to require it. So I want to store the script in a variable. So I want to call it local click mod, which is just shorthand for module script, equals require. Now when you want to use a games module script, you need to wrap it in require. So it's going to require the script. And then I'm going to paste into it the path that was just copied to our clipboard. So once again, this is the module script variable that we're holding. We're requiring this specific script. All right, now I want to call the click function to see what it does. And so to do that, since it is a part of the module script itself, I'm going to type in the variable for the local variable we held for module script, click mod, and then call a function. You want to use colon and the function name. In this case, it was click, and then parentheses. Now, If you recall, it had a variable that was being passed through P1, which is the script itself. And if you are calling the function just as we are with a semicolon here, there's no need to pass that. If there are other arguments passed, though, we would need to put those in. All right, so now that I have this, I want to copy this and go back to Roblox. Go ahead and close this. And before I try, let me go ahead to Rebirth and empty out my clicks to make sure that it actually works. So we'll just pick one. All right, so now I have 0 clicks. I'm going to open up my code window, paste in, Control V, paste in the code, and hit execute. All right, and as you can see, our clicks went up, and it even went through the combo. So let's just spam it for a minute. And this is working better than the remote, as you can see, because it is calling the game's own function, which is in turn using the combo ability. And I'm not exactly sure what that is for this game. So now we can go back to our game code, and where we have our do tap function, now we can take this click mod click. I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to replace this entire remote here. So that's lines on my screen right now, lines 14 and 15. I'm going to remove those and replace it with this. All right, so now when we do the do tap function, it's no longer just spamming the remote. Now it's actually using the game's click function itself to call. All right, and let's just go ahead and copy this code for the GUI. Go back to the game, paste it in, hit execute, and let's make sure it works fine. So now when we turn on auto tap, we're getting all the combos and all the clicks just as fast. All right, so now that we've required a local script and we're using it in our GUI, this method is a lot cleaner. If the remote, for whatever reason, changes paths or gets updated, this method should still work since we're requiring the game's own script to run the command. All right, and while we're at it, let's see if we can find out if there's a script for auto rebuys. So as you can see, we try to do an auto rebuy. We don't have the game pass. So let's see if we can get around that by modifying a local script. So here's a rebirth function or script. I'm going to right click on it again, view script. Looking for anything in here for auto. Here we go. Toggle auto. So it calls a function called has pass otherwise prompt, passes to it the string auto rebirth. If this returns true, then it's going to set the auto function, it appears. So we need to locate has pass otherwise prompt function and see if we can modify that. So it looks like it's being referenced with the script u4. So let me go down to the constructor or the loader of the script and see if u4, there it is. U4 is declared as shared.gamepasses. Okay, so now we're looking for the game passes module script. That'll most likely be in replicated storage. So replicated storage will hold a lot of the game modules that you'll normally interact with. So let's go in here and explore. Replicated storage, area, there's the shared folder. That's what we're looking for. Now we're looking for a module script called game passes. Up right there at the bottom. All right, I'm going to right click on this and view script. And it's loaded. Okay, so now we're looking, remember, for that function that has pass otherwise prompt, which is right here. It takes in 3 arguments, first of which being once again the script itself. I'm not sure what the next 2 are, probably the player or the game or the game pass itself. And it calls this other function called has pass, and if that is true, then it returns true. Otherwise, it prompts for purchase. Okay, so I think we can do something really interesting here. I want to copy the path to, once again, this module script called game passes. I'm going to go back to our code editor, and up top here, I'm going to define this one. I want to call it local game pass mod equals require, and I'm going to paste in Once again, that path we just found for the Game Pass module script. Now, I want to see if we can go ahead and replace this function altogether with something entirely different. So it has pass, otherwise prompt. All right, so let's do Game Pass mod. And because we're not calling the function, if I wanted to call the function, I use the colon. But because I want to modify a function, I'm going to index it with the function name. So Game Pass mod dot, let's again make sure we got the spelling right here, has pass, oh, it already came up, has pass, otherwise prompt equals, so this is the function itself. We're going to create a new function and replace it with it. So I'm just going to type in function, return true, end. So what this will do, if it works, we'll test it in a moment, is whenever this function gets called, it's always going to return true. It won't prompt for a purchase, even if the player doesn't own the Game Pass. So let's give this a try. Copy this, close this. I'm going to delete everything in this window, paste it in, hit execute. All right, so now let's go back to auto reburst. And if we tap one, and if it works, we shouldn't be prompted. There we go, no prompt. Let's check if it works. Oh, and it's working. All right, so we essentially just unlocked a rebirth Game Pass. Pretty neat. All right, now if we wanted to put this into a function, we could create something called unlock game passes, and then copy these 2 lines of code, put them in there. And then we can make it a button in our GUI that when it's called, it unlocks Game Passes. Now, I know this just unlocked the Auto Rebirth Game Pass. It might have unlocked others as well. Not quite sure because we haven't tested it, and I don't know all the Game Passes in this game. So I guess we can look here. We have a VIP Game Pass, Sprint Game Pass, 2X Gyms Game Pass. Yeah, I'm not even sure how to use any of those right now, but you can test it yourself, see if it works on this game or try it out in other games. So once again, that is how you require a module script and the things you can do with it, such as calling its own functions like we did for the click mod, or modifying functions altogether like we did for has pass otherwise prompt command to always return a value. And the next video, we will get into the same type of modifications, but with local scripts. Because with local scripts, you're not going to require them. You're going to access them by using get senv. And that will be for the next video. Thanks for watching.